Hi muckers, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Okay, Beast Games has been released. Yeah, we are so festive. Look at us, we're festive today. It feels like a ponytail. Why is it going back like this? I am currently, hold on. Wait, no. Oh my God, okay, wait, great. I'm trying to go back every time I do some sort of expression. I'm currently back home for Christmas. Welcome to, I was going to say my childhood bedroom, but my parents actually just moved into this house. So welcome to my room. It is not as chaotic as the room in Brighton, obviously, but that's okay. That's okay. We can have it all. So Beast Games has been released, and I think that it is so funny that on the day of launch of Beast Games, Rosanna Pansino breaks her Mr. Beast silence. Now, we know that Rosanna has been, to say that she's been on Mr. Beast's ass is an understatement. And she really kind of stopped talking a lot to do with Mr. Beast in the wake of the Dog Pack 404 stuff. Now, I don't know what's going on there. I still have, very strong thoughts about Dog Pack, and I also have very strong thoughts about Mr. Beast. But the way that nothing was addressed there, I'm like, But anyways, she really hasn't spoken about Mr. Beast in a bit, and I didn't know what was happening behind the scenes or if she was just kind of like taking a step back. Oh, but don't worry, she was waiting until Beast Games got released. And she released this video, and it's called Traumatic Brain Injury on Mr. Beast's new show, in brackets, Beast Games. So let's go through. First of all, there is a GoFundMe attached. What is this, honey? Oh, not Rosanna's thumbnail. Oh, Rosanna is organizing it. $6,000 raise. Woo. Injured on Beast Games. Help Amanda recover. All right, what is she recovering from? Anonymous 5,000. Damn, Jake Doolittle. That's how you handle business, Jake Doolittle. Oh, Jake. Amanda recently suffered a traumatic brain injury while competing in Mr. Beast's new... Sorry, I'm laughing at the Jake Doolittle thing. Beast Games. What was meant to be an exciting moment in her life has turned into an unexpected and difficult journey. Amanda's injury has limited her ability to work. I am starting this GoFundMe campaign to help Amanda cover her medical expenses and provide financial support as she recovers. Amanda is a fighter and an inspiration to many. She is the founder of Eat Like a Bear, a hairy gay man, a healthy lifestyle and weight loss program that has transformed countless lives, called Eat Like a Bear. Okay. Amanda's own story of resilience, losing over 100 pounds, has motivated people worldwide to reclaim their health and happiness. You can learn more about this at eatlikeabear.com. Now, Amanda needs our help. By donating, you'll directly contribute to Amanda's recovery and help her get back to what she's doing. How your donations will be used. Medical expenses, lost income, recovery needs. Amanda has shown what it takes to rise above challenges. Now it's our turn to lift her up. Any amount, big or small, will make a difference. If you can't donate, please share this with your friends. With love, Rosanna Pansino. Okay, people are donating. So it was a 5,000, well done, Rosanna. It was a 5,000 target, and I mean, they're at 7,000 right now. Donation protected. We guarantee a full refund. Clock it. All right, let's get to this. So yeah, she posted this on the day that Beast Games was released, which I think is super slay. But let's get to it.
And no one referred me to nurses or to the ambulance or anything else. I didn't know I was kicked because apparently I blacked out momentarily. And said, I think I have a 1-year recovery. And so, sorry.
It's not who you are.
So devastating. So devastating. Okay. I will not get emotional.
In this video, I'm going to be interviewing a woman named Amanda.
Oh my God. It goes from so emotional to Rosanna looking so amazing going, hey guys. She will always serve face is what she's doing. She's like the Taddy Westbrook of the Mr. Beast saga. She'll always have a good outfit on, hair done, makeup good. Okay, before we get into this video, we are so close to opening night of the Chronically Online Tour. We're going to Brooklyn, Chicago is sold out, we're going to Seattle, LA, Dallas, we're going to London, we're going to Dublin. We are kicking off February 18th in Brooklyn. I'm so excited. The show, I've locked it in. I'm super excited. And yeah, tickets are down below. Please consider coming if you're free. February 18th in Brooklyn, 19th in Chicago. Well, sold out if you haven't got your tickets. Sorry. February 21st, Seattle. February 23rd in LA. We only have a couple more tickets left for there. Dallas on the 25th, London on March 9th, and Dublin on March 10th. On with the video, but I'm super excited for tour, and I can't wait to hopefully see everyone there and meet everyone. But on with the video.
Who competed in Mr. Beast's Beast Games. She suffered a traumatic brain injury during the games that continues to negatively affect her life many months after competing. Amanda has a PhD in political science.
Obsessed with the
and is best known
teleprompter.
for her online community, Eat Like a Bear, where she shared her weight loss journey with the world. This continues to help people, especially women and older women, to lose weight, eat healthier, and be more active. However, because of her injury, Amanda is unable to fully do the work that she did before the Beast Games. She told me her financial situation is the worst she can ever remember because of her injury. I'll be starting a GoFundMe to help with Amanda's recovery and treatments. If you'd like to support her, I'll put a link down below, and all of the money, the profits, go directly to her and her recovery. So YouTube's most...
Shout out to Rosanna. I mean, it's a great way of using your platform. You know what I mean? Great way of using your platform. And it was very, very, very successful. I mean, they've, gotten more donations than what they even originally asked for. So shout out to Miss Rue.
Successful creator Jimmy Donaldson, Mr. Beast, has his own version of real life Squid Games, Beast Games coming out now. Beast Games.
Oh, baby, we know. We know. You've talked. You've told us.
Games has received a lot of negative press surrounding things such as many injuries on set, lack of access to medication, and in some cases life-saving medication, understaffed medical crew, multiple seizures, misplaced undergarments, rude staff, unfair advantages in the game, lack of background checks for some contestants.
She's listing it.
And water at some times, and much, much, much more. Now, the new development of this has honestly left me even more disappointed. Mr. Beast recently released a statement about these accusations saying, quote, "We have tons of behind the scenes dropping when the show does to show how blown out of proportion these claims were. Just can't release now because it would spoil the games." Now, it doesn't take a genius.
That's so crazy that he's like, we have so many evidence of clips, right? That we can, disprove what people are saying about us and that it was blown out of proportion. However, we're not going to post them because we don't want to spoil the games. Well, surely you would want to kind of clear your name a little bit and show that you weren't doing all this, but you can't spoil the games, of course.
To realize that dropping some behind the scenes footage is not going to actually address all the accusations. They will most likely post highly curated clips attempting to make themselves look good. Do you honestly think that Mr. Beast will release footage of people getting injured on his set? Do you think that he's going to release footage of the crew member who nearly died from a piece of the set falling on him? I don't think so. Jimmy, if you are telling the truth, let's hire a third party to review all of the raw footage. I'll cover the costs. I would love to...
She's so funny. Oh, God. Oh, God. Lord, never send anyone an op like her. That is so funny. It's so unironically funny.
Confirm that these injuries are indeed blown out of proportion, as you say. Until then, don't insult the people injured on your set by saying that these stories are blown out of proportion. Now, I'd like to introduce you to Amanda to hear her story. Can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and how it
Amanda!
You ended up on the Vegas portion of the Beast Games?
So I decided to be on Beast Games. It was June 1st of this year. It was my son's first day of summer. And we were just laying in bed together watching Mr. Beast overtakes T-Series. And so just in that cultural lore of YouTube and in the process...
Lore? I love when people say lore.
As we ended up deciding that I would apply to be a contestant on Beast Games, and that's a whole other story. But actually, it involved Matthew Patrick, so Matt Pat. So I did this great little pitch video because I'm actually a PhD political scientist, and
right on, awesome. Well, you, all right.
And long before the Game Theorist YouTube channel was founded by one Matthew Patrick, mathematicians for years had been using game theory and. Economists, political scientists, sociologists use game theory in their own research, and I had used it in mine. And so my pitch video to Beast Games was, you need a real game theorist. You need a PhD game theorist on the Beast Games, because you have all these people on the internet playing game theorists. And so that was the essence of the pitch.
And I love it because you guys have met before. You've met Matt Pat and stuff at like different meetups, conventions, things like that.
That's right, through the years. And so it was actually one of my quests to get selfies with him each year. And it was one of these little challenges by my son, who's now 15.
Oh.
This is a diva who loves, what was I going to say, the YouTube community. I'm like, the selfies thing is so cute. The selfies thing is really, really, really cute.
But this started when he was about 10, and I would get...
Specifically because this is something that her and her son have in common. It's really nice. That's really cute, actually.
I would meet up or, find them in the hallway or whatever it was, have some chance encounter and get a selfie. I went to Vid Summit in September of 2021, and I was wearing the Matt Pat jacket because I knew Matt Pat was giving a keynote. And of course, what better way to get my selfie for the year than to be wearing the jacket. And so he saw me. I was, 30 feet away. And this bellowing voice of Matthew Patrick, he says, "Nice jacket." And so I went up and I got a photo with him, but he was standing next to Jimmy Donaldson. And so they then did a little video together with a shout out to my son. And there I am wearing the red Matt Pat jacket. Yeah. So there's a long Matt Pat history with us, and also interweaving with Mr. Beast. And so it was a really great moment to go on Beast Games as a contestant. And I was mic'd by the producers. There were story producers at Beast Games that identified, 40, 50 contestants who were probably like the good storytellers, I would imagine. The story producers actually came up to me. It was 3 or 4 of them. And they knew who I was. And they came up and they said, "We know your name. You're Amanda, the game theorist."
Love it. Love it.
And I'd already decided I don't want to run around Beast Games as the game theorist. I feel like that's kind of boring and just academic. So I decided I need a game name for Beast Games. And so I went in as Mama Bear.
You did not.
Yeah, no, I was Mama Bear at Beast Games. Yeah. Yes.
I was just joking. You're such a Mama Bear. You literally even have a Mama Bear necklace. Like, that's your vibe.
Well, so I am also the founder of a community that is called Eat Like a Bear. The community formed around my weight loss.
Okay, this is cute. So she was in the YouTube space because of her son liking YouTube. That's very sweet. That's very sweet. And her also enjoying it, therefore. And it's interesting her saying that she got mic'd up, which, is showing that, like, not everyone on set was mic'd up. Obviously, there's, like, 2,000 contestants, 1,000 contestants in the second one. It's interesting that they were picking and choosing someone to be mic'd, and it's also really interesting that one of the people that they mic'd up is one of the people that's speaking out against them. And I also wonder how much back and forth this person had with Rosanna in the past leading up to this, because we know that people were reaching out to Rosanna. She was in the email, she was in the DMs and stuff like that. I wonder how they got in contact. I mean, maybe they'll talk about it.
Back in 2017 to 2018, I lost 140 pounds.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
And that's a whole other story. But we have a lot of sort of bear lore in our community, so it was such a natural thing for me to go to Beast Games as Mama Bear.
I love what you stand for and the story that you're kind of bringing to the Beast Games.
Well, so I did enter Beast Games with a very positive and also maternal outlook. I had contestants coming up to me because the name Mama Bear really caught.
I would come out to her.
And, it's hard.
Me, like, there's like a scene in Beast Games of me coming out to her.
Remember, his name's Tim, or that's John, or Susan, or something. All kinds of people saying, "Hey, Mama Bear, there's Mama Bear." And they would come up to me and confide in me. I'm scared. And, what's going to happen? And I would say to them, your mind only has room for so much emotion. Fill it with excitement. There will not be room for fear.
So when you first arrived, what was your experience before the game started?
The sign.
That's not how my brain works, to be fair.
At the very beginning, because the day I was supposed to fly to Las Vegas, I was supposed to fly out of Fresno to Las Vegas, and we were supposed to get a 2-day advance on what our itinerary was. And I was supposed to fly on a Tuesday. Well, Monday night at midnight, I get my itinerary, except it's not mine. It is for a woman in Indianapolis. And so as a result, I don't know if she ever made it, but I didn't have an itinerary. And so I immediately emailed them saying, what's my itinerary? And it was supposed to be the next day. And so didn't hear back. I went to sleep and woke up that morning and thought, if I don't hear anything by 9 a.m., I'm just going to drive. It's a 6-hour drive. I'll drive. Yeah. And I didn't hear anything. And so I emailed them again and said, "Hey, I'm driving. I'll see you there."
What a mess.
Because at that point, they did tell me what hotel I would be in. And so I just, Google Maps and, headed to the Luxor Hotel in Las Vegas and showed up. Was the only one parked there because everyone else had flown in.
To me, this already shows disorganization.
I was about to say, that's really bad. That's really, really, really bad. So, like, a contestant is being told such little information that they are driving 6 hours when they should have been on a plane that you organized. Damn. It's just incredibly unprofessional. And when you have a budget of 100 million, by the way, there are no excuses.
Awful.
And now looking back on all of it, just how ridiculous all of this was. And, I was so dedicated.
Also, so much of it is just incredibly avoidable, which is very clear, but also it's avoidable in general, but avoidable specifically when you have $100 million budget.
I was just so dedicated as a contestant and as just like this
6 hours through the desert.
fan mom living in this great story, and I'm going to overcome all adversity, even if it's jumping in the car, and finding the Luxor myself and not worrying about that flight or whatever. And so, because it becomes an important detail that I did actually drive to Las Vegas, because
I sent you the wrong person's itinerary.
Yes.
Like they can't even keep people straight, even before it's even started.
well, and they did finally respond to my email, but it was 6 p.m. that day.
Oh my goodness.
And so I would have long missed the flight and all of that.
Right.
Yeah.
So you drove.
Which is also really unfair if you've gone through an interview process to then be fucked over at the last minute because of disorganization.
Yourself.
I did. And so it's an interesting point because as we'll discuss the incident of the concussion itself,
Right.
but I drove myself back with a concussion because
Oh my gosh.
I didn't actually realize I had the concussion until I had driven myself back.
Oh my gosh.
I was
What? What? Sorry, I was moving my computer closer. Look, you can see. Oh, you can't see, but I've moved my computer incredibly closer. What? Run that shit back.
concussion itself,
Right.
but I drove myself back with a concussion because
Oh my gosh.
I didn't actually realize I had the concussion until I had driven myself back.
Huh? Jesus Christ. I mean, that stuff as well that the medical team should be on.
I was still in the adrenaline of the games and didn't imagine I had a concussion. I had no exit medical care from the games.
Which is insane considering the big fucking challenges, by the way. $100 million budget, by the way. Not to have an exit medical examination.
Despite the point that probably dozens of people saw me actually kicked, and no one referred
Also, the fact that she drove back again?
me to nurses or to the ambulance or anything else. I didn't know I was kicked because apparently I blacked out momentarily. And so I just drove myself home because what else would I didn't imagine I was injured. I didn't imagine it. There on the I-15, I started getting extremely sleepy, like so sleepy. I have never felt that sleepy in my life. And I'm there on the open highway just struggling to keep my eyes open. And it's so horrifying as I think back on the multiple risks to my life that happened
dangerous.
as a
Yeah.
contestant.
So you find out you're on the show, and
me.
what was your understanding of what some of the challenges might be?
Yeah, I assumed it would be a mix of mental and physical. And I entered knowing that I was in probably the bottom, 10% in physical. I mean, especially given the age, it was mostly young people and mostly in very good shape. But I thought, okay, but if I bring enough of a mental game, I can probably find my
I was about to say, that's a big thing that's like a problem with Beast Games as well. Like, fundamentally, at its core, it's not going to be fair because how can you have a fit 18-year-old and an 80-year-old, 90-year-old, that's what they were like every age competing in a physical challenge or a mental challenge. Like everyone has different, you've got to find things that are a common ground. Like at its core, this is not set up to be fair, which was a disaster from the start.
So I expected to be challenged and expected that there would definitely be people who would be faster, of course, and would have other advantages. But we all have our own little bucket of assets we play in something like this. And so we just need to find what's going to work best for us and just play our hearts out. And so that was what I was prepared to do. And I was ready for hardships. I mean, I have hardships in my own life. I've overcome a lot of hardships. And so the first morning, we were in this hotel conference room with no chairs. We're just sitting on the floor and just meeting people. And we hadn't eaten.
Right.
And so we just sat there on the floor, no chairs, no nothing, for hours. And, and yeah, it was not the best in terms of like being hosted or whatever, but I felt like
$100 million budget, by the way.
that might have been intentionally part of the vibe of getting us ready for something that would be grueling. Like, okay, I'm here for it. I can sit on the floor. And so we transitioned from the hotel floor to Allegiant Stadium.
Right.
We did an orientation there, and they fed us our first tiny little meal. Oh my goodness, we could talk for hours just about like truly the food was austere, and even for me, but for some of these bigger guys.
Yeah.
There's also no point for there to be such restrictions on food and stuff because that doesn't have anything to do with the challenge. They're not being like starved or they're not being whatever, like there's no need for that. It's not like there's a show in the UK called I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here where, they are working to win food and that's what makes them do these challenges. But in Beast Games, they're trying to win money. They're not trying to win food. Therefore, I'm like, why are they being fed so sparsely or just badly when again, $100 million budget? Like I'm going to keep coming back to that. Like I'm like, where'd the money go? This isn't Survivor. Yeah, Survivor's like you're I'm a celebrity.
Yeah.
It was kind of ridiculous, but part of the game, maybe. And so there we were. It was quite an adventure. We had our first big challenge the first night, and it is where there were 5 teams that pulled these giant rocks weighing, I don't know, 10,000 pounds or something like that. We can check the footage of the games as they're released. And that was, I was on the green team, because there's stories about how there was a team that was eliminated that was mostly women, and complaints about that. And it was very clear to me when I realized that how that game was going down, that I needed to get that green vest. And so I got the green vest. And so I was one of the slower people there, one of the older people, but I did manage the green vest.
Yeah.
And so there I felt, very accomplished having gotten through that first challenge.
Yeah, right on.
And so then we slept on the floor of Allegiant Stadium. By then,
Which again is incredibly, like, yeah, they're going for money and they're winning for money, but they're not trying to win food or anything like that. The budget can house them in a hotel or anything like that. Like, why are they sleeping on the floor of stadiums? Why are there no chairs? They're like, why are they being fed so badly and so sparsely? Like, this isn't part of the competition at all.
I think we went to sleep at about 6 a.m. So it was daylight, and they gave us sleeping masks so we could sleep in these sleeping bags on the floor of the stadium. And I probably got a few hours of sleep. And then we, kind of woke up, strolled around. That was the phase when there were a lot of people not getting their medications. I was definitely aware of people, firsthand in there who were actively trying to get their medications and were not able to get them. Luckily for me, none of that impacted me. I don't take any medications, and I was fine. And so sleeping on the floor, it was not a big issue for me. And so I was still in really good spirits about all of it, still really enjoying just meeting people and discussing, just having that shared experience with people. And everything was good at that point.
So you got through the first round.
I love her being like, everything was good at that stage. Bitch, if you put me through the limited food and sleeping on a floor of a stadium at sunrise, that's the biggest challenge for me already. Like, this is so already, like, and again, this is so unfair when it comes to people who have disabilities, people who have sensory issues, people who are of a certain age, people who have bad backs, they have bad legs, they have insomnia. Like, why would you not just, you have a budget, put people in a hotel, feed them properly, and this would have offset so many of these problems. By the way, it's like they were just like actively creating problems for like no reason.
And then was the next game the suitcase game?
Yeah, the briefcase game.
Briefcase game.
And so, and he actually sells those briefcases now. So you can buy those briefcases at Walmart. And so I do think that this briefcase game was partly a marketing. Yeah, I do think this briefcase game was partly a marketing tool as well. And so all the moms out there can buy their kids a briefcase. And let's think about that for a little bit as I tell this story. The briefcase game,
This makes me really sad that this ultimately goes back to the fact that her and her son had a bond over watching Mr. Beast videos, and like they've just been fucked over. Like, that makes me there's something really just disappointing of that in general to do to a fam, but like the fact that there was a bond there with a mother and son over enjoying this YouTuber, I mean, and she did the competition, and it was
as all this comes out, there were four teams of approximately 400 people each.
400 people each, about. Okay.
Yeah, because there were approximately 1,600 contestants at this phase of the game. And there was essentially a game board that had 400 briefcases in a grid pattern. And 50 of the briefcases had a sign in it that was red that said eliminated. And 350 said safe, and they were green. And
I mean, again, these competitions and stuff like that, I'm going to speed this up a little bit. These competitions as well, just like, there's nothing really fair about them. I saw a clip as well where like a bunch of people just get, like, they're all standing and some people just get dropped to the floor. And obviously, like done, I guess, and like they're not just dropping to the floor, but like they're falling through like a trap door and they get eliminated. And I'm like, well, how is that fair? I haven't seen the full context of the clip. I've just seen the clip, but I'm like, wait, so were people just eliminated for the sake of being eliminated as well? How is that fair in any way? Like, there's nothing, you know what I mean? Like, I'd be so pissed if you drop me through a trap door and I haven't done anything wrong or I haven't done anything right or whatever like that. Like, it doesn't seem like this was like organized well in any way. It seems that they had to, you know what it seems like? It seems that they had too many people and they needed to get rid of people fast. And maybe the ending games, which is why Jimmy keeps teasing that episode 3 is going to be the best one. Yeah, because in episode 1 and 2, you had too many people that you had to get fucking rid of.
And so the trick was to get a green briefcase, and then you would move on to the next round.
So when you're looking at them, can you tell which ones are red or green?
So that is the entire game right there. They put a digital map up on the wall for maybe a minute before the game, and then they turned it off. And then the digital map would flash up on the wall, and you could see where the green ones and where the red ones were. And because what you would need to do is mentally map those briefcases,
Yep.
I was assessing where on that perimeter would I have the least competition. And because I was looking at, there were some groups of, big, fast guys. Do I want to go in their area, or how do I want to handle that? I knew I was probably stronger on the mental game than I knew I was totally weak on the speed.
Yeah.
That's fine. Let the fast guys get like the closer cases, but I'm going to map 3, 4, 5 cases down the row, and then just go, and I'll get something. I'll be fine.
You strategically think where you're going to go, assuming like really fast young contestants are going to go for the ones right up front, that you're mapping out the one that's a little further and you think that you have a shot at getting.
Yeah, I'm mapping deeper into the game, and because all the fast guys are getting the first one. That's fine. Let them have it. That's good. That's fine.
I wouldn't get them either. I have little legs. So you're all there, 400 people about to go run for these briefcases, and Jimmy, Mr. B, says no pushing, no kicking. What were the rules that he said?
Those are the only ones I really remember. It was like no pushing or tripping, kicking. It was either 2 or all 3 of those things. Yeah.
Bare minimum, by the way, bare minimum.
And the rule was we would line up around it, and on the word go, we would make a run for it. And whoever touched the briefcase first is the one who got it. And so some people looked like they tied. They would go back to the camera to see who touched it first. So there were some little rules like that.
Yeah.
But in terms of me and my injury, what I didn't appreciate is in this grid that there would essentially be cross traffic. This is a very important point. I was not able to view the game before my round. So when people watch the YouTube video, they are going to see the camera view, like the overhead cameras, and they're going to have a really good view of what happened. And they're going to say, wow, how did Amanda not imagine that there wouldn't be cross traffic or whatever else? Well, yeah, it's very obvious when you're looking from above what is about to happen. And in fact, that was the whole point of that article that came out of Las Vegas in September, the NBC affiliate. That article was about how the production crew was watching from the bleachers, and they were horrified at what they were seeing.
Yes. I think that it's just awful that anybody's viewpoint is to blame contestants and not the game controllers, the people who are creating the games, executing the games, producing the games.
And again, can I just state as well, $100 million budget. There is no excuse. I'm just currently looking because they said that there was going to be 1,000 people eliminated on Mr. Beast's YouTube channel. Now, I'm not subscribed to him, but I haven't seen that yet. Maybe that video's gone up. Oh, wait, is this it? Oh my God, it is. Sorry, I'm just like not subscribed to him. Therefore, it doesn't pop up for me. So he posted 2 days ago, 2,000 people fight for $5,000. So this is obviously the first set of Beast games. Ah, that's so loud.
On $5 million in cash and competing for it. Open the gates!
Dear goodness.
There looks calm. Those two are waiting it out.
This is so many people and so chaotic. Okay, so anyways, I guess Amanda is in this one.
Who's running the games. It's their responsibility to keep people safe, and especially not as much enforcement as they should have. And one of the contestants who I talked to said that she witnessed a male fully tackle a female, full body contact tackler, knocked her out. And he was allowed to move on to the next round.
I am so horrified because I've heard that story too.
Yeah.
And it only occurs to me right now that they may be talking about me because this is what happened. And it's only being on the couch all these weeks and really like processing all this that makes me even realize this. So, because what happened is I was there and I'm behind like some tall, fast guys. He says go, and I'm just running my heart out. And I'm ready. I have it mentally mapped, and so I'm running, and I never saw it coming because what happened was just a few aisles down was this center corridor. Well, apparently what someone else decided to do was to run down and then cut in.
Run and cut, right? Okay.
Yeah, and I'm just running my heart out, and when I just feel the, and so. It's just so shocking, and I remember that, like just my whole right side, and
You just felt that blow.
I felt the blow, and then I remember I'm on the floor, and realizing I could be trampled, and so in my strong survival instinct, luckily I scrambled up, and I was able to get back on my feet, and then just I imagine that if we could see the footage, I'd kind of like to see the footage.
I would love for them to release all the raw footage.
We need the raw footage. In fact, in the 2-hour video that I have on my channel, I say at the end that Amazon needs to do the documentary and that you need to be the producer. So that's
I
in
would
there.
love to do that documentary, Amazon. If you ever have a
I'm sure she would love to do that documentary.
change of heart and would like to work with people who actually care about people, you let me know.
So yeah, it would be interesting to see it, but I don't know if you would see those cartoon like stars going around my head, on the footage, because it was one of those moments
Oh
of
my
like,
gosh.
and so I kind of stumble into the aisle.
Was it a guy?
Okay.
Do you even know? Because you just got blasted. What happened?
I know his face. And I will tell you this, because this is not actually in the 2-hour video. I am certain it was a guy, and I will tell, I'll tell you why. I'm certain it was a guy.
Yeah.
So I kind of stumbled to a case, because at that point, it all happened so quickly. Everyone's at a case.
And also, adrenaline is a thing that kicks in moments like that as well. But there's just something about none of, like, oh my God, even whenever I would do little film productions or whatever like that, you would have to do all your risk assessment. And this just shows a complete oversight of Mr. Beast's team, kind of allowing people to do whatever for the sake of an entertaining video. But what happens in that? You have people being trampled. You have people having concussions. You have people...
This is chaos unleashed.
Yeah, so I'm going down this aisle, and then I see a case, like over there, and it's just this one lone case, and I know it's a red one. And so I was stunned, and I felt sick. Like, I didn't imagine my end was coming so quickly. Now the thing is, I'm not a sore loser, any of that. I'm like, you know what? If this is the way it ends, so be it. I need to give my speech.
Yeah.
So they even have a speech that I gave there on the floor of that after being eliminated.
While you have a concussion.
It's really what makes it scandalous, because I gave that. They're going to say, wow, she looked fine. Well, I'm sure I was in adrenaline or whatever else. They did.
Adrenaline, dazed and confused. I mean,
well, and the reality is they had many people watching those cameras, and they had me mic'd. The story producers were watching the mic'd contestants in particular, I think. And I told Carl Jacobs, hey, I just got knocked down. Check the tapes, because I was so much in my game that I said, what if, when I got knocked down, what if I touched the case before that guy did? And he should be eliminated instead of me. And so I told Carl,
there's no contact. He should have not pushed or kicked you.
But also, isn't there something really scary about the fact that allegedly this person Amanda was one of the people that were like mic'd up, and this happened to her? What happened to the people who don't have any mics, like who aren't on the radio? Like, the team would specifically be hearing and listening to people who are mic'd up, and the majority of people were not, and this happened to someone.
That should not have been allowed. That guy should have been eliminated.
He should have been eliminated. So I told Carl Jacobs,
check the tapes. Yeah.
Check the tapes. He said, oh yeah, we'll check the tapes. Well, he never came back to me. And so when they checked the tapes to see if I touched the briefcase first, they, I think, would have noticed that I got kicked in the head. And so how many people actually knew? And apparently, if I am the person behind the story of someone getting full on tackled, how many people actually knew that I got kicked in the head? Now, I didn't even know I was kicked in the head, because, as an important point, I apparently did black out. So I remember the collision, like just the initial, and I remember being on the floor, and I know I scrambled up, and I remembered that there were
also not only about adrenaline, but that's such a high stress environment of everyone running at you as well when that's happening.
feet at my head, and that is where that's when I'm like, better get the head up. And so I did not know I was kicked. I didn't. They did an exit interview with me. Would you be back? Would you come back to a Mr. Beast production? I'm like, yeah, of course, because I am
Dazed and confused and have a concussion.
Well, yes, all of that, but also, I wasn't there thinking I was winning $5 million. I was there for the story. And so I'm, not a sore loser or whatever else. I just thought, okay, let me give my speech. So, and yeah, I'd come back. Well, all of that just shows at that time, I didn't appreciate what had just happened to me. And it really did take those weeks on the couch and hearing the stories that came off of your platform, that came from the New York Times, and then some of the stories that came from the Dog Pack 404 expose, particularly the second one, that showed some of the organizational issues that Mr. Beast was having, that made me realize this was all part of a larger package, I suspect, and it made it more important to me to try to impact change in some way, to at least for me to do the thing that I felt was right, and let the chips fall where they may.
I really relate to exit interviews because I've been on a reality show where after I was eliminated, we did an exit interview and I said very kind things in the moment. And I think that that is very normal. And also, I don't want to say aren't in the right state of mind, but I think what's really important for people watching is to understand that you haven't had the time to process what just happened.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if people are using that as a thing, if maybe she was speaking kindly in an exit interview. But I mean, as well, not only are you still trying to process what's happening, but you are currently in an adrenaline thing. The exit interview would have been before she even realized she had the concussion. She attempted to drive home. I think she did completely drive home. So you can't use an exit interview when this person's driving with a concussion as well. And also, when you're in that room with a bunch of producers after that just happens, put yourself in that position. I don't see that as an issue, whatever, but I understand them covering people trying to call this out.
Happened because it's moving so fast and it's so extreme and it's wild and it's chaotic that, especially for me who's a slow processor, I didn't have enough time when I went on a reality show to even process. So one of the things that Mr. Beast's production team said, they made a big point.
Also, when there's so many people there, fundamentally, so many people are being eliminated in the moment, so you're also not prioritized. So it's like a very quick one in, one out system. They don't want you to fucking open up about anything.
Is that they were going to review footage and they were going to go over contestants who were unfairly treated and bring back contestants that shouldn't have been eliminated. Did they ever reach out to you?
No, they didn't. And I did hear that too from them, that I think they sent out an email to contestants saying that basic thing, that they were reviewing all the footage. And so now I was so injured at that point, I would not have actually been able to attend the Toronto games. But I was really expecting to be invited because I was wronged. And I expected also to hear what they were doing about the person who kicked me. Because, they could position it as an accident, which I think would be somewhat fair. But in fact, they never have had any kind of conversation with me at all about this. And I was not invited back. Again, I could not have attended it. I had a severe concussion.
Right.
Yeah.
Again, it's like you get fucked over and then you just get kicked to the curb.
But I want to say this, that there were other injuries at Beast Games. I know personally of other people who were injured. And I suspect that many of them will not be telling their stories. And the reason is that we are speaking, this is a delicate situation. It's delicate, it's controversial. There are legal issues. And I realized that I was at this fork in the road. I could speak out and potentially reduce the chances of future injuries. The risk of that is there's a legal risk. And frankly, any lawyer.
Also, you're going up against a huge giant. Not only are you going up against Mr. Beast, one of the richest people, but you're going up against one of the richest companies, Amazon, who this is their show.
Which I don't have a lawyer because I suspect my lawyers would say, don't come do an interview. Because lawyers are really good at keeping you from, getting sued into the gutter. And that would be their purpose. I have been poor multiple times in my life. I'm currently fairly poor just from this whole circumstance. And the gutter doesn't scare me. I can survive in the gutter for a very long time. What scares me more is 12 months from now, some major injury happens and I hadn't said anything.
What you're saying really resonates with me because I've talked to over 200 contestants from Beast Games and almost about 50 employees and former employees of Mr. Beast. And they said the same thing, that the sets and the shoots were dangerous.
And the issue here is there's no oversight. And so all that a future contestant can really count on, or the information that I had was, for instance, there was a Time magazine piece in February where set safety was brought up, but then the Mr. Beast organization responded with, oh no, we work to improve that all the time. And then they have videos like the one with, sometime in the last year with Mac and his greatest fears video. And he ends up in the lake, diving down in the lake. And Mr. Beast says, oh, if you were concerned about his safety, just know that we have like 12 divers down there and they were ready to rescue him if he needed to be rescued. And so those were some of the signals that I heard as a potential contestant. And I signed a liability waiver that, yes, I could risk death. But I signed that.
Also, just want to clarify that it's very normal to sign waivers that are very extreme. They say injury, sickness, or whatever. You'd be surprised at how many in your own life you've signed away the rights to, you know what I mean? It's very, very, very normal, but you shouldn't expect that those things are actually going to happen. Like if you sign something that's like, you will get severely injured, you might get severely injured. You're not expecting that it's actually going to happen to you, even though it can. The same way as you sign, may cause death. If you still try it, you don't think you're actually going to die. Like it's safety waivers. It's not a given. Like, you signed it, so we're actually going to do this to you now.
That, assuming that they actually did tend to set safety. And that there were a dozen divers or whatever the detail was, in the Mac video, and that may or may not be true, I have no idea, but there wasn't that level of care in the Beast Game set. I would think a dozen people saw the kick, and I had 0 exit medical care.
0 exit medical care is so fucking crazy to me. Again, I'm going to bring up that $100 million budget again. How can you have a budget so big and you don't have people that are doing physical tasks, draining tasks? They're sleeping on floors. They're not getting proper food, allegedly. And you're not even going to give them an exit medical review. Like, that is such a common thing for even just a reality show in general, like a mental health checkup as well. You have the budget for it. So I got to wonder, where's the money going? Where's the money going? Like, where is the money going? And people are like, oh, he's so good for having such a high price for the show. Well, clearly this seems fucking that they've taken the cheap option.
It's completely unacceptable.
So the circumstance of the kick itself is unacceptable. I would say to them, I need to speak to a producer. Because they're trying to tell them, I just got knocked down. I need to speak to a producer.
Yeah,
Each one I was saying, knocked down. I was saying to them, I got knocked down. I need to, and they were saying, oh, no, we don't know a producer. But the point is, I told many, many people that I had just gotten knocked down.
Right.
Now, to be clear, I didn't ask where the nurse was.
And he even told Carl, which is like Mr. Beast's, one of his inner crew members. They're a very close, tight team.
That's correct, and I have 2 selfies with Carl that in my 2-hour-long video that everyone should watch. If you don't watch it all, you can go to the very end and see the selfies, including 2 with Carl Jacobs.
So one of the things that bothers me is when some people say, well, you were free to leave at any time. So do you have any thoughts about that?
Absolutely. And that is really the essence of what I took to the Las Vegas Police Department as well. And by the way, everyone wrote
to the police department. Oh, mama. Mama Bear.
And seriously, I gave an actual TED Talk.
No, you did. Oh my gosh, you did.
On this topic about a decade ago. And it is about the concept of free choice. And so, but let me first back up before we talk about the TED Talk and just reemphasize that I did not have the information that other people had about the game.
She shouldn't have to ask for a nurse. They should have checked her regardless. It's very, very, very normal for this to be something that happens after you leave a physically, mentally demanding show. And the fact they didn't do it was just complete negligence.
Danger of the game board. Right. So production assistants viewed it from the bleachers. We were not allowed to go into the bleachers to view it. We viewed the game from the floor of Allegiant Stadium.
Right.
And I'm 5'2". And I was, I don't know, a few rows behind people. So it's when you're viewing between the shoulders of people and you see a tiny slice of the game. And so I didn't see this risk of like crossways traffic and all that.
Right.
I simply didn't see it. And so it wasn't part of my...
And also it's the crew's responsibility to kind of think of what will go wrong and put things in place so that they don't happen. They just chose not to do that, which is a big problem.
calculus and my strategy. So I thought I could just like run freely and get that case and I'd be okay, that it was really a matter.
Also, just a really interesting point that I'm currently thinking of. When Mr. Beast is like, I can't wait to release behind the scenes footage so you guys can see how much these like allegations are blown up. I'm like, okay, but in your behind the scenes footage, you're not going to see if one person in 2,000 people is being trampled. You know what I mean?
Matter of being fast enough to get to one of these cases and being, like mentally sharp enough to be able to map enough cases that I was probably going to be fine. And that is how I viewed it. That was the view that I had. Of course, compare that to Mr. Beast's view as he stood on a pedestal above all of us. He saw the mayhem of the 2 games before mine,
right,
and of my game and of the next game. He had a great view. All the cameras, they had lots of overhead cameras and they had people viewing those camera rooms and they would have been able to see the risk. But I could not see the risk from the floor of Allegiant Stadium. And so, yes, I was free to be there. Yes, I signed a liability waiver, all of that. I absolutely could have gone at any time, but was this then an exercise in free choice? And that is the question. And so, again, welcome to the TED Talk.
Yeah.
So the essence of the TED Talk, this is a decade ago, and it's on an entirely different topic, and it has to do with the choice of raw milk, that just being able to reach for this milk versus this milk. But we need to know cognitively something about the difference between those choices. And so the information we have about those choices,
I'm learning so much, Mama Bear,
really affects whether our choice of raw milk or pasteurized milk is free. It's only free if we...
I was about to say, not only will the behind the scenes footage be so edited at its core, but also, like, I'm sure that it's going to feature so many moments of Jimmy, like, asking, are people doing okay or whatever. Like, it's going to be so intensely over the top, if I have to guess, of him being like, is everyone okay? Even if they filmed that shit after, allegedly.
Have enough information about the difference between the choices. Therein lies free choice. And so take that to Beast Games. And my physical ability to walk through that exit door and the fact that I...
She came here to spill tea and knowledge.
...didn't was, is it a sign that my concussion and my injury comes from my exercising free choice? Well, I argue that I didn't have the information about the risk. And in fact, it was kept from me because I was not allowed to view from the bleacher because I was told there would be no kicking and no pushing.
There's supposed to be no contact. It's not, we weren't supposed to be hitting, kicking, tackling contestants.
Very normal things.
That did happen to you. Someone else is breaking the rules and they're not enforcing it and you got injured.
Right. That was the rule. Right. So color me surprised that I would be tackled in a game that would not allow tackling.
Right. Right.
So was it an exercise of free choice? No.
So you somehow make it home driving with a concussion and just thank goodness.
Back to that. Back to driving 6 hours with a concussion. Back to that.
You didn't get in an accident. You got home. Could you kind of walk us through what the next days and weeks were for you?
So yes, to just reiterate, I didn't know at that time as I was driving back that I had a concussion. And that was a Sunday. The injury was early Saturday morning. The drive back was Sunday. It was Monday that I realized I had a goose egg on my head, right on the back of my head. I had an abrasion. And the symptoms, besides the sleepiness that had come on that drive, by Monday, the headaches and the nausea began. And that is when I realized I must have a concussion. And so I went to urgent care and I was diagnosed with that and with a left bruised rib. They did an x-ray to see if there was any sign of evidence that it was broken.
Oh my gosh, you had a bruised rib?
Well, and I was kicked in the calves. So I had bruising on my calves as well. Mama. And so that was urgent care. That was Monday. And then Thursday.
What the fuck? Again, I can't stress enough how frustrating this is, knowing that this stemmed from a place of her and her son bonding over their love of Mr. Beast. This is fucking crazy, dude.
I went into my primary care doctor and then began meeting with her once a week, I believe, for the first month. And she would do this.
How are these people leaving the show so fucked up and there's not even just like any sense of care, and it's all like, oh, we're going to prove that you guys are lying about everything. Like, maybe care about the people who've been fucked over by, allegedly, your lack of management.
This concussion battery score on me every week, and it's what she does for her high school football players, or, high schoolers who are injured. And so we're doing this little concussion battery every week, and she was just giving me some of the general medical advice. In that first week, I was sure that this is like a 1 week recovery. Maybe it's 2. So, and by the end of the second week, I'm thinking, this is really, surely almost over. And I didn't even imagine or even want to process that it could be much bigger and longer term. So it was at the 6th.
I don't know why they even accepted older people if this is what the challenges would be. Because it's content. It's content. It's content. Like, I feel like I think they allowed every age. And again, it was just content to them, which sucks. Like, they have 2,000 people and they see 2,000 people. Like, imagine 2,000 people. They're not caring about each individual person. They should have had less people.
I had that concussion score again, and it wasn't showing
But it was all about being the biggest show, the craziest show, you know what I mean?
signs of decline as it should have.
Right. And for anyone who's watching or listening who isn't familiar with a concussion score, this is a score that a doctor does after you've had a concussion to see where you're at, right? Is that how it?
Yeah, so this one was, it's like a list of symptoms, and you rate the scale of severity of something like sensitivity to light
Right.
or loud noises. So there's a whole list of things that are common concussion symptoms, and you just rate them, and you're tracking your change over time. And so I had made some slight changes on those different things, but apparently not nearly what they would expect at the 6-week point.
Shoot.
And that is when she ordered an MRI. So up to that point, I had not received an MRI, which, by the way, that's the key tool that they use to assess whether you've had a brain bleed. And the fact that I did not receive an MRI in Las Vegas, as I look back, I'm horrified, because that is when they identify a brain bleed, their concern, and the reason they try to identify it, is you can die in your sleep. And so there I was for 6 weeks, not even knowing if I had a bleed. And then it took 6 more weeks of insurance bureaucracy before I actually finally got the MRI. And so I got the MRI at 12 weeks.
So during this time, what was Mr. Beast production company's communication with you? Were they doing anything to help the process along? Where were they in this?
Oh, certainly not at that stage. And so I was in contact with them in that first week. And so the urgent care visit was on a Monday. And I sent a photo of like the diagnosis to a Mr. Beast producer. And so I'm sure it went into my profile that I have a concussion. And I spoke to 2 producers that week when they called all the contestants and checked in with them. I spoke to 2 of them and told them about the concussion. And then a couple of days later, I'm going to say it might have been Friday of that week, that one of the producers did ask in about me. She sent me a text. And I said, I'm fine. Because at that point, again, I'm thinking, I got another week. You know what I mean? I'm not imagining what is in front of me. And
Oh, this is so brittle.
again, I'm trying to be positive. And I still was so much a super fan of the organization, and just leaning into like, okay, I'm going to recover. It's all going to be okay. And again, never imagining I would be sitting here discussing this with you and looking at a year-long recovery from a brain injury.
Oi, oi. And the fact the show just comes out and nothing gets said is so frustrating as a viewer, that I can't imagine how frustrating it is when you're like the people who have a brain injury, that a year-long recovery. But don't worry, Beast Games is on Amazon now. People are loving it. And these are like fans you're fucking over as well.
I got some general emails from the Mr. Beast organization, like, hey, submit your tax forms, stuff like that. And they said they were going to be switching their communication system over and using a text-based system, but I never heard about that. And so I believe it was around September 1st that I emailed them and said, hey, did you guys ever set that thing up? Maybe I missed it because, I do have a concussion and might not be catching all your communications.
Yeah.
And I never heard back from them on that email. And then I sent them another email in mid-September kind of with the same flavor, and didn't hear back on that either.
Ghosted.
Yes. Yes.
Recovery process was really long.
So then to be basically like allegedly ghosted to do this?
This is over 6 weeks. So what were the symptoms you were experiencing?
In the first 6 weeks, definitely the persistent headache, nausea, and fatigue. Yeah. Fatigue has been the biggest thing for me in all of these weeks. I will say I felt like I was 80 years old, and I could not recover from activity. There was a time, it was maybe at about the 12 or 14 week point, where I went out and walked 2 miles, just like in the neighborhood. 2 miles, that's it. Now, in July, I was able to hike 10 to 15 miles, 2,000 feet elevation gain with no recovery problem at all. I mean, at all. It was
Badass.
Fun. Absolutely.
Also, imagine being the person to tackle an older woman for money and give her a concussion.
Love it. Yeah.
Yes, I was.
And people are saying Amazon had to release it because they invested too much in it. Well, maybe they should have thought about that before, It's like these networks, these whatever, see these YouTubers creating their own productions and are like, oh my God, let's give them entire control of something, of $100 million budget.
And I will be again. But 2 miles, and I was exhausted for 2 days. Like, you know how you hear that about like your grandma?
You're like, something isn't right. Yeah. That's not normal for you. It's not who you are.
So devastating. So devastating. Okay. I will not get emotional. I simply have not been able to do what I could do. And the fatigue has been the biggest issue. So that was that walk was the 12 to 14 week point, and now we're at about 5 months at this point. And I'm so excited and proud of myself because I walked 3 miles the other day, flat land, no elevation, but flat land, and didn't have a recovery problem. And so then the next time I'll walk 3.5, and I'll try it. And I'm getting back. I'm coming back.
Yeah,
I'm
you're
coming
driven.
back.
You're a fighter.
I am coming back.
Again, that's just what's so annoying and frustrating. I don't mean to harp on the same point, but that the show comes out and the people are loving it and this all gets swept under the rug. And we literally have someone whose day-to-day life, a fan, by the way, is so affected by it. Could you imagine being her son as well? Your favorite creator has done this to your mom?
back, but it's been difficult. And so the headaches have continued. They're getting better, and the nausea is getting better. I have really strange earaches. That just it's like it's the outer part of my ear. It's not like inside, and I get actual ear pain. Like my lobes hurt to the touch, and it's just very strange. And I get those, when I'm stressed or not sleeping as well and stuff like that. And it's definitely from the concussion. I've never had anything like that before.
Yeah,
those are getting a little bit better. So it will all get better. But the doctor is definitely having me focus on a 1-year trajectory. And I made that realization in September. And so that would have been about 8 weeks, realizing how difficult this was going to be. And again, our Eat Like a Bear vision for ourselves and weight loss is what will our lives look like in 1 year. And so I went to our community in September and said, I think I have a 1-year recovery. And so, and many of them are joining me in this goal, but sorry. Pardon my emotions.
no, it's fine.
1 year from September of 2024. So I announced to them September 21st of 2025. I don't know where I'll be, but I'll be out somewhere on a trail. One that even 7 years ago I wasn't able to access, that I can't access now either. But that's where I'll be. And so part of coming here and talking to you today is processing this, is getting past this point.
Yeah.
I need this story to be out there. And I need to be able to be out and hike and not worry that someone else is going to be injured.
Yeah.
And if they are, God bless them, let people make their choices, what they're going to be involved in. Let them have their free choice to do this thing. And I fully support that. But let there be no more situations like this. And I need to be free of that. And so as you see me in social media, that is what I'm going to be doing all this year. Is you'll see me hiking. I'll be live streaming from a trail. I have no idea. Telling stories, maybe completely unhinged. Who knows? Because an interesting thing is, in terms of working with the doctors, because I'm working with a specialized center at UCSF.
Yeah.
And I shared my frustration with them that I have been very good at live videos and just really good at juggling all the stuff you have to do in a live and just cognitively.
It's hard. There's a lot of moving factors.
Fielding the questions or getting trolled. By the way, I love, bring them on.
Oh,
by the
yeah.
way, bring the trolls.
Silly.
And so,
Mama Bear versus the trolls. Mama Bear, you want to be a moderator?
it's always been great, but has been very difficult for me to juggle the cognitive balls. And so talking with the therapist about it.
She said cognitive balls?
What they say is you need to do more, not less. And so that is going to be one of my big things.
Do they think that that's going to help with recovery, is challenging yourself, mentally and physically, within reason, but, they think that that's an important part of recovery and
absolutely.
Yeah, stimulation and getting things going and
coming here today and doing such a long interview that I
did great.
Well, and because I had no idea, but I thought, so what? Let's just do it. Let's just see.
Yeah.
But I have a lot of cognitive lapses. So not only is there the headaches, the nausea, and that sort of thing, which are going down. Thank goodness. And we want to see them continue to go down. That is a sign that I can make a full recovery. I'm making a full recovery. And so if it takes longer than, all these things always take longer than you hope. So we're already there. It's already longer than we hope. But one of the odd things, or things that affect the live videos as well, is I'll have cognitive lapses about 2 days ago when my son had a cheeseburger in his hand. He'd gotten it at school and brought it home. It was like school lunch. And I looked at it and I said, oh, what a good looking sandwich. What is that? And
Squid Games, which Mr. Beast recreated, or wanted to, was supposed to be commentary on how horrific and devastating the current state of the world was. Not to be recreated IRL.
He said, it's a cheeseburger. And I said,
yeah, let's get some justice for Mama Bears in the chat.
what are you saying? What's
And some tomatoes for fucking Mr. Beast. Jimmy.
I know. I'm so horrified by that, but it's just to give an example.
It's on the tip of the tongue, the tip of the brain.
And so I find myself struggling with all these symptoms. And it's very shocking because it was just 5 months ago. I was at my peak. I was out completely living my best. As I was preparing for Beast Games, I was jogging, which, by the way, I decided I don't really like because I never jogged before. But Matt Pat said, you need to work on your cardio. And so I did.
Yeah,
I worked on my cardio. Matt Pat, I worked on my cardio.
Yeah. And you were like,
not this diva breaking the fourth wall. Get this baby on tour as well. Get Mama Bear on tour. She knows how to work it.
Because I was coming for Matt Pat.
I felt so healthy. You're like,
I was swimming. For the first time, I was lake swimming. And which I don't know, it seems obvious now, why hadn't I gone lake swimming before? And it was so amazing. And so I was ready, let me get back from Beast Games and I'm going to be swimming all the time. That's not too far from a lake. It's a really wonderful experience. And so I was discovering some things and was really just at my peak.
Yeah.
And then I was kicked in the head.
Then you got injured on Beast Games.
And I was literally for 2 weeks, I was in the complete darkness in a sleep mask for most of the hours of the day with earplugs and with complete brain rest. And
again, I just can't imagine being the son watching your mom go through this. Again, one of the reasons she was on the show was because you brought her into that world of being in YouTube fandom and YouTube culture, and it was something you related and bonded on. I think that's something that is just, I can't stop thinking about because I
was 80 years old, but I'm getting it back.
What happened to you is obviously physically draining. It's your head, it's your brain. your health, but it's also emotionally draining. Like, how has it affected your everyday life now?
I mean, it's completely shaped all of my life now. I haven't gotten back to my work. I'm getting back to some of the normal life things, thankfully, but I'm not able to drive long distances. Currently, I can drive, my maximum right now is about 90 minutes, and which to me is quite a tether.
Not being able to drive is a huge tether.
And I don't drive at night.
Squid Games literally created to show what people would do for money in the state of the world. It was never supposed to be real, especially people were getting injured in it. Yeah. He just had this like really weird fascination with Squid Games, and he brings it up in so many of his videos. Like it's very, very, very weird. And he used it to promote Beast Games.
I hope to get that back as well, but I'm not able to drive at night. I was able to drive at night, in July, and I am now not able to drive at night.
Yeah, so it also is sounding like this has affected you financially. I mean, with medical stuff.
Absolutely, my medical expenses, but also my inability to work. And first, let me just say, I'm so grateful that, that I'm not homeless or something, that we've been able to just kind of get by in this circumstance, but I am not able to do the analytical work that was making the money. Like on the platform of Eat Like the Bear, the stuff that I had been doing, I am not able to do now. And I haven't been able to do, we are at our poorest that we've been in a very long time, but it is really our worst moment, I would say now. Yeah. And it is directly, absolutely, because of getting kicked in the head. I really thought I was going to have brain surgery because my local doctors thought I would. But what happened was that the local doctors and what they saw, they thought, wow, we need to refer you to a surgeon. And so they referred me to a surgeon at UCSF who then did an analysis and said, nope, this is all about no, you're not going to need surgery, but you do need help with this traumatic brain injury. Wow. And so I was referred to a specialized institute at UCSF for traumatic brain injuries. Yes.
They're good.
And that was a game changer for me. And it was, I don't know.
Again, I just can't believe a contestant or contestants are going through something like this and the show is going up and it's being praised as to what it is. This is so evil. You're right.
Or something before I would have that appointment, but it was a long journey in getting to that level of care.
You were showing me this really long video that you had made that was you documenting what was happening to you, and I felt like there was really good information in there, and it also was just really heartbreaking to learn about the whole process and what was going on. And is that video going to be public? Is that something that you're going to share? What do you think about that?
I will be making that video public on the Eat Like a Bear channel. Yeah. And it's a 2-hour long video. So yes, it's
long. Yeah, it's a movie.
It's long. It's long. And it actually is mostly shot at a period back in October when I thought I was going to have brain surgery. And so it's a really raw, real video. And my intention in shooting it, I was going through estate planning at that time, as you would do is when you're going to face something like brain surgery. And knowing that I intended to take this to the police and would end up with a lawyer at some point, I sat down and attempted to record the key facts and things like where the cameras were, what kind of information they could get from this microphone or that microphone, and just a very fact-oriented discussion of all these different things. So it goes into more detail on especially the briefcase game, my view of the game, and the thing about my exit medical care, more detail than we've been able to discuss.
And imagine going through the recovery, which is a year long, of this brain injury, and therefore then having to think about lawsuits and lawyers and
today, but also the Matt Pat story is in there. The
meanwhile the show moves on and people love it. Fuck.
Shout out to my son. And so there's so much YouTube lore in that video, and which makes it. I mean, the whole thing is completely heartbreaking. Completely.
Thank you so much for coming over here and sharing your story. And I am so sorry that this has happened to you. I think people know that I'm outraged by it, and I just really feel for you. And where can I tell people to check you out and just to look you up, give you some support, send some love your way? Where can we find you?
Well, for our weight loss community and our message here on YouTube, it's the Eat Like a Bear channel. And
Eat Like a Bear.
Eat Like a Bear. And that is where you'll find that 2-hour long video.
Oh, good. Okay. And I'll link to that too.
And find me. There's a website, eatlikeabear.com, where you can kind of just find.
Are you live streaming anywhere? When you said you like to go live, what do you like to go live on?
Oh, yeah. No, but I'm on TikTok. I'm on all the places. So just find me.
Okay. I'm going to link down to all of them that I can find down below. And just thanks again for coming over here and talking with me. And I'm really, really, really sorry.
Thank you.
You deserve better. That is not okay.
Damn. Okay, well, I can't wait to find time to watch that video. And if you want me to, we can definitely watch that. But again, it's frustrating to know that people are going through this and Jimmy and his team are on social media being like, we can't wait to release the behind the scenes to show you how blown out proportion people did this. And it's like, okay, so people are walking away from your show after being eliminated and they're dealing with, year-long recoveries, surgeries, blah, 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 blah. Oh, but somehow you're the one that's being wronged in all this. It's ridiculous. Shout out to Rosanna for making this video, finding this woman, doing the GoFundMe, raising more than it. It's awful. It's awful. And I can't wait to watch that video. And I definitely wanted to watch this and I wanted to watch it with everyone. So I will see y'all later. Have a good night.